Just listen to this for a second. I just want to belong, but it feels like that put up a wall that I cannot pass. Wow, that's from an autistic person, and it hits you, right? That feeling of being on the outside looking in. Well, it's that wall. That's what we're going to talk about today.
So that brings us to the big question. How can we be truly autism-friendly? Because, let's be real, it's about so much more than just awareness. It's about taking action. It's about really understanding those walls and figuring out how we can help take them down. Brick by brick.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to dive into something called the empathy gap. It's kind of the core of the problem. Then we'll flip the script with a whole new way of thinking. After that, we'll get into the practical stuff, how you can be an ally. And finally, we'll zoom way out and think about designing a better world for all of us. Okay, let's get into it. Section 1, the empathy gap. And really, this all starts with that feeling we heard in the beginning, that incredibly deep pain of being misunderstood and left out.
When you talk to autistic adults, the research is crystal clear. This kind of social pain, from being rejected or constantly judged, it isn't just a minor sting. It's described as something way more significant, something that lasts a lot longer than even physical pain. It's this deep ache that can lead to just this overwhelming feeling of loneliness, of being unwanted.
So what do you do to cope with that? Well, to navigate a world that really isn't built for them, a lot of autistic people have to do something called masking. I want you to just imagine this for a second. You're putting on a performance every single day. You're constantly checking your words, your body language, pushing down your natural instincts, all of it, just to try and fit in and feel safe. Can you imagine how exhausting that would be? It's just a constant, draining effort.
And this brings us to a really, really important idea called the double empathy problem. Honestly, this completely reframes the whole conversation. See, for a long time, the old thinking was that autistic people lacked empathy. But this theory, it just flips that right on its head. It says, hey, when communication breaks down between autistic and non-autistic people, it's not a one-sided problem, it's a two-way street. It's a mutual misunderstanding. It means we neurotypical people have just as much trouble understanding their world as they might have understanding ours. So bridging that gap, that's on all of us.
Once you really get your head around that double empathy problem, it opens up a whole new way of looking at things. It lets us shift our whole perspective from seeing deficits to seeing differences.
And this is the big shift right here. On one side, you have the old medical model. It basically sees autism as a disorder, a problem to be fixed or normalized. The focus is all on changing the person. But then you have the neurodiversity paradigm, and this is a total game changer. It says autism is just a natural variation of the human brain. It's a difference to be understood, not a deficit to be cured. And so the focus isn't on changing the person, it's on changing the environment to support them.
I love this quote. It just nails it. Neurodiversity is the idea that different grains are just part of biological diversity. And here's the key part. Autism does not necessitate suffering. Think about that. It's not the autism itself that causes suffering. It's being in a world, a society that wasn't built for you.
Okay. So this is all great in theory, right? But how do we actually do it? How do we take these big ideas and turn them into real everyday actions? Well, let's talk about what it means to be a true ally. And a huge part of it, maybe the best place to start, is with our language. Seriously, the words we choose really matter. They shape how we see things. So instead of symptoms, try traits or characteristics. Instead of labels like high or low functioning, which aren't super helpful, just describe a person's specific strengths and needs. And here's a big one. Many people prefer autistic person over person with autism, because for them, it's a core part of their identity, not something tacked on.
Now, if you want a really practical tool to help you remember all this, check out this awesome framework. It's called SPACE, and it's a super easy way to remember the 5 key things to think about when you're trying to be supportive. That's sensory, predictability, acceptance, communication, and empathy.
Let's break down what SPACE actually looks like. So S is for sensory. That could be as simple as offering a quieter space or turning down the lights. P is for predictability. Maybe you send the plan for the day ahead of time. A is for acceptance. This is huge. It means respecting things like stimming as a natural behavior, not something weird. C is communication. Just be clear, be direct. And E is for empathy. And that takes us right back to the double empathy problem, right? It's about doing our part to close that gap.
So all of these individual actions are absolutely crucial, but they're really just the start.
The bigger picture, the real goal here, is to go from just making little adjustments to actually building a world that is inclusive from the ground up.
And here's the core challenge we're up against. The fact is, the world is not built with neurodivergence in mind. Think about it. Our social rules, our offices, our schools, how we're supposed to talk to each other, it's all been designed by and for the neuromajority. And that just creates barrier after barrier for neurodivergent people.
This actually takes us to a kind of next-level concept, the triple empathy problem. It adds a third piece to the puzzle. You've got neurotypical people and neurodivergent people, and now you add the designer. And here's the thing, we are all designers of our own little worlds. So to build something truly inclusive, we have to understand the needs of both groups, and then figure out how to create systems and spaces that work for everybody. It's not about just tacking on an accommodation. It's about designing for harmony from the start.
And really, that's the dream, isn't it? A neuro-inclusive culture. A world where all different kinds of minds are not just accepted, but are seen as a strength. A place where nobody has to hide who they are, where they don't have to mask just to get by, where everyone can just be their authentic self and thrive.
So that brings us to the final question, and it's a question for you. The world wasn't built with neurodivergence in mind, but we are all architects of our own corners of it. So take a look around your life. What's one thing, just one thing, that you could redesign to make it a little bit better, a little more inclusive for everyone?